This is Dave once again from the Wolves Den saying Happy Tuesday. It's time for AIR Radio. And Jennifer Hillman will be back in just a few minutes with her guest.
Good day, everyone. This is Jennifer Hillman, and this is another exciting adventure on Abstract Illusions Radio. Today we brought back Dave from the other week that we got a little short, and I had agreed to have him help me with my kind of lowest issue because it affects everything else. And already my throat is getting a little bit hoarse. Surprise, surprise. Hello, Dave. Dave's website is the paradoxcure.com. He's been healing for I don't even know how many years because it's been so many lifetimes you've been doing this. He has a wonderful website. Check it out. He has been on quite the journey himself, and he's used his experiences to learn and help other people through this amazing journey. Hi, Dave. How you doing?
Okay. It's good to be with you again. It's exciting.
So before we get started on my wonderful adventure, I was mentioning as we were getting in that I was looking at your website, and it really is quite like the hero's journey that we all really are on in some fashion.
Yes.
Can you kind of go through real quick, or not so quick, we got plenty of time, how you came to really understand the hero's journey?
Well, the hero's journey is Joseph Campbell popularized the concept, and it's been used actually by Hollywood as the model in which to write stories. In fact, I think it's on Wikipedia that they use Star Wars as the role model of the hero's journey, and the main thing is there's anywhere from 3 to 12 parts, but the simple version of the hero's journey is you have somebody just kind of going along in life, and all of a sudden there's a call that needs to be answered to something unknown. And then the person goes into a descent into the belly of the whale, or the descent into the dark night of the soul, where they go into a non-ordinary reality and face their demons. And just as they're facing their demons, they have trials and tests they have to go through. And just as they think they might be done, they have even more tests that take them to the brink of what they ever knew their limitations were, and then they go beyond those limitations. And then they come back to the ordinary world with gifts, with new skills, with new abilities. So the hero's journey, again, is just one way to describe transformation, a journey of transformation. Not change. Change is incremental. Like I change 1% or 2%. I get maybe a little bit faster if I'm a runner. A transformation would be I go from, recreational runner to professional Olympic athlete. So transformation with a hero's journey is full and complete with a whole new set of skills and abilities.
So my question, and what I've been examining myself within my hero's journey, is there's been a point, and I've been reading the Joseph Campbell model, and it's just there's a point where they really do push you to your very limits. And there comes a point that either you're going to really get it, or you might go over that edge to the not returning. And it's that edge of which way you're going. And I feel like right now I'm on that edge. And I really do feel a little bit of a split, like, 1/4 still being really kind of in that negative space, but 3/4 of it is very much in the love vibe, very much owning who and all I am. But there's still that little 4% of me that's like fighting.
Yeah. You haven't gotten out of it. You haven't
No.
actually passed the final test. And unfortunately, Jennifer, most people never, ever go into passing the final test. They never answer the call. So at different parts of the hero's journey, people can be stuck. And this is what midlife transition is. People feel a call. It just happens around midlife. There's various influences and factors. But most people feel a call to make a change in their life. And many just do not do what it takes, because it takes a lot. They don't do what it takes to get to the other side. So they get stuck in a rut, and they go to their grave in the rut. And unfortunately, it sounds like part of your journey right now is that there is a place you're stuck. Now, you probably passed tests and transformed other things, but it sounds like, again, you've been stuck. And, you know, I heard it in your voice when I first heard your voice. I know it's right there in your throat area. And most people that I encounter when, you know, again, within 10 to 20 minutes, I can uncover just about anyone's lifelong issue that has been stopping them all over the place in their lives. And, again, people just get stuck in that, and it shows up, and it's there for 20, 30, 40, 50 years of someone's life until, you know, it's dealt with. And most people, again, just don't know it's there, or they don't have access to someone who has the kind of, you know, skill sets to help them identify it, get in touch with it, and accept it and transform.
Yeah, and I am very blessed to know you and a lot of beautiful people who have helped me and guided me through a lot of these tests. I was just thinking this morning, it's like if you ask the universe for support, they'll give it to you. I have had such amazing people contact me and say, hey, Jen, I need you to do this with me. Jen, I want, you know, the support of helping me get through the test. And I'm so grateful to you and to Talia. Talia it helped me through a huge hurdle. So I am forever grateful for your beautiful wife. So do you want to start the process now, or do you think there's more that we need to explain?
I wanted to explain a couple things, and I would do this to anyone that I was meeting with, because in explaining, it'll give people some critical information that when they have this information, they can help themselves make better choices on what kind of practitioners or help to get, if they so choose to actually get guided help. So one of the things that happens, so everything that I do is based on acceptance and resistance. I uncovered a while ago that what underlines all growth, healing, and transformation is a principle of acceptance or resistance. So literally, so many personal growth paths out there are hard problems because they're like the middlemen of personal growth. You have to program something in many modalities to try to make a change when, in fact, the programming or changing something becomes another layer of resistance and not acceptance. So since I was 17, I was looking for what I would call a magic bullet of what really underlies all growth, transformation, healing. And when I shifted to, when I got it many years ago, about a decade ago, that, it's all about how we accept or how we resist, then I was able to very quickly, assist any of my clients make breakthroughs within an hour. So it's important to know, again, the foundation of what I'm talking about, that the reason why people don't change is they're resistant. If you have pain anywhere in your life, it's emotional, physical, mental, or spiritual, wherever there's pain, there's resistance. It's really that easy to understand and find resistance. The opposite of resistance is acceptance, and the body never lies. The body gives off cues as to what acceptance is and what we're resisting. So if there's pleasure, there's acceptance. More pain, there's resistance. Some other signs of resistance are being cold or closed down, contracted, shut down, a sense that something is off, something is not right. fear. Then signs of acceptance are going to be open, warmth in the body, expansion, openness, a sense that things are really good. Energy is coming up. So with that all said, when I go through facilitating someone to come into greater acceptance of themselves, which is literally their body, nothing more is needed, just to come to acceptance of their body, anything that is right now being resisted, even if it's been there for 40 years, shows up in the body.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm doing this, there's a particular thing that comes up that I have to let you and everyone else know. It's insidious. It's called fog. So as we get closer to accept what we're resisting, so as we start connecting more to something we've been resisting for like 40 years, we go into a fog. And it's that you'll start to forget. You'll start yawning. You'll try to change the subject. You'll get all loopy. You'll not know where you are. And this fog is what some people, actually many, you'd be surprised, many people are walking around in a perpetual state of fog because they have an issue that they're resisting, that's locking up their energy, that's absorbing so much of their energy. They're walking around in a state of fog. And some people have all kinds of medical terms for this. You know, psychologists, psychiatrists use all these medical terms when they're just walking around in a fog because they've been trying for decades to deal with something, but they're in resistance and no one has taught them to accept. So it might come up with you. It comes up at least 25% of the time. And it can be so strong that weird things happen. Like you'll say things that don't make sense, or all of a sudden, you know, you'll have found yourself sort of sleeping or dozing. So if this comes up, all we do is we love the fog. We go into accepting the fog and exploring the fog. But I want to explain why the fog is there. Because, again, most people have a fog, and this is what stops them and most therapists and psychiatrists, psychologists from helping people. So many practitioners in the field get thrown off by fog because they don't understand it even exists. So the fog is coming up because we have built in a defense of resistance where we really don't want to get underneath it. We're scared so much of what the truth is, of what our truth is, of what it is we've been resisting. For example, you might be resisting. I'll give an example of a friend. He came to me and he said, "Dave, I'm a bad lover. I'm afraid that I'm really a bad lover." And I went to my men's group and they assured me I wasn't. And I looked at him and I said, "Yeah, you're a very bad lover. I mean, you really are a horrible lover. You suck." And of course that stunned him because what I was doing was confirming his worst fear. But what he was doing in his life was doing all he could to get corroboration, to get compliance from all his friends, to try to trick him into resisting the fact that he was a bad lover. And whether he's a bad lover or not doesn't matter because he believes he was, and almost everyone in our culture learns to do the opposite, to run from our pain, to run from a truth. So my friend spent a lot of time and energy and money trying to prove to himself he wasn't a bad lover. But when he came to me and I said, "Yeah, you're a bad lover," of course he broke down, he cried, and I helped him just accept the fact that he is a bad lover. Once he accepted that fact that he was a bad lover, he wasn't putting any energy into resisting it, so he had all this extra energy that had been going into the resistance, and he could do something about it. So he did a Tantra weekend, which I happen to now teach, these Tantra weekends, and he became a great lover. And something that had been plaguing him for years, actually, he was free of. But the difference of what he did than what most people do is he ran towards his fear with some help. He ran towards what he was resisting. So instead of resisting, he came into acceptance. That make sense, Jennifer?
Makes total sense.
So I know I'm talking a lot here, but this information is critical Because what I'm saying is really the opposite of most modalities. Most paths of growth, transformation, and healing do not have us run towards our pain and our fear. They want us to positive think. They want us to strategize. They want to psych us up, pump us up. They want us to do everything but go into our pain. And my approach is you go into your pain head on, bringing it to the hero's journey. You answer the call and you go into non-ordinary reality, which is basically going out of your comfort zone in a big way, and you face your demons. This is not, for the weak-hearted. This is not for the people who have made a life of strategizing to avoid pain. So, you ready?
I am so ready.
All right, good. I'm glad, because everything that I do, it's really about being gentle. In fact, that's part of the challenge that a lot of us have in approaching something we've been resisting is we actually are kind of hard on ourselves to very hard on ourselves. So I'm going to be loving you possibly more in this issue than you've ever loved yourself with this particular issue. And hopefully you'll quickly catch on to how I'm loving you so you will love yourself in this. Because I'm not going to try to change you. I'm not going to try to change you. I'm not going to try to fix you. It's all about you accepting what's there. That's it. Okay?
Okay.
And part of the time I'll be explaining what I'm doing because I want people to get a sense of what's possible in their own lives to run towards their pain and really take on what's been stopping them in their life. So for you, are you sitting down?
I am sitting down.
Good. It helps. It helps to just be in a place where you're not moving around because I want you to be able to feel everything that you can feel in your body. So take some nice deep breaths. Good deep breaths. And the entire time that we're doing this process, I'm going to have you be breathing deep because as you breathe deep, you're already going into a place of greater acceptance. One of the first ways we learn to resist in our lives is we hold our breath or we breathe shallow or we do something funky. And I'm going to have you, if you're willing, to keep breathing no matter what goes on, to keep doing what I call a circular breath. So as soon as you're done breathing in, you breathe out. And as soon as you're done breathing out, you breathe in. But deep breath, because at the top of your breath, when you have your lungs most full, if we're holding on to something that we're resisting, I've got a beautiful kitty here that's also going to be giving you
holding the energy.
Nice words of encouragement.
Yes, helping me find my true independence. And love you, Kat.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So at the top of the breath, when you're most full, if you have some resistance, you'll be less likely to breathe as full. So breathe as full as you can, and that will help you get into a greater state of acceptance of yourself. And the same with breathing out. Try to breathe out as fully as you can. So you have this beautiful circular breath. Not real fast, just very full and complete. So that's the first step of really coming into a greater state of acceptance and working through whatever might be stopping you in your life. So you were saying that for quite a while you have something that's located around your throat area, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So what do you associate with that? Not a history or a story, but just like a sentence, like you're just stopped in your throat. What would you say?
I feel I don't have permission or there is consequences for me speaking my truth.
Awesome. Good. So even so, just say out loud that I don't speak my truth. Just say that out loud.
I don't speak my truth.
And breathe. Keep breathing. And what comes up in your throat area?
Right now, just
sensation.
it's like a lump, and I'm feeling it in my
good.
heart as well.
Good. So I'd like you to, with your hand, outline the area that you feel this. And because I'm not able to see you, just tell me where this is. So it's like near your chin all the way down to your heart area?
Yeah, it's pretty much, and it's almost halfway through my solar plexus as well.
Good. So we're talking 3 chakras from the throat down to the solar plexus. So it's your core. Does it go, how far into the body does it go? Into the spinal area all the way there, or?
Pretty much.
Okay,
and I can almost feel like tentacles that are just really wrapped around the spine almost. That's the feeling. If I visualize it, that's what it looks like.
Okay, good. So what I'm going to have you do is we're going to work with this area. Now, it might morph and change. However, it's this thing we're working with. We don't have to understand it. We don't have to fix it or change it. All I'm going to do is help you get into connection with it. And as you do that, you will get more into a state of acceptance with it instead of resistance. So right now, I'm going to just kind of do some rapid-fire questions intermixed with some conversation, some things. And the reason why it's rapid-fire is I don't want you to think much about it. This is about feeling, about sensing. It's literally about sensations and emotions and a felt sense, because you cannot understand your way to acceptance. You can only feel your way to acceptance. Therapy doesn't work for the most part because it's about strategizing and understanding, and that creates more resistance most of the time. So you might not understand your answers, which is fine. So what color is this?
Red.
On the pain-pleasure scale, with -10 being the most amount of pain, morphine, I'm about to pass out. If you don't give me morphine now, I'm going to hit you. To +10, orgasmic, the most amount of pleasure you've ever experienced, total bliss. Where are you at, -10 to +10?
-5.
Okay. And we're going to call it minus because negative has a connotation of something wrong with it.
-5.
Good. -5. Temperature? Room temperature, warmer or cooler?
Cooler.
Good.
I'm actually getting like 55 degrees.
Good. Good. Yeah, you're definitely more self-aware of your sensations, and that really helps coming into a state of acceptance more quickly. Texture.
And I'm getting tapioca.
All right, good. So a taste?
Bittersweet.
Good. Smell?
Tangy.
And what was that again?
Tangy.
Okay, awesome. So breathe into this area, and I'd like you to actually use your breath as a way to massage this whole area. So you literally give this area more space to be, to exist, to live. And your breath is a way that you can connect with it and touch it. And I'd like you to give it a name so we can refer to it. Any name, and that name could change, but for now, what name comes to you?
Fred.
Fred?
Fred.
Okay, great. Fred. So I'd like you to, what's coming up? If I was watching, I think I'd be seeing emotion. What's coming up for you right now?
Smile on my face and giggling.
Good. So I'd like you to talk to Fred and just say what's there for you.
Okay.
Hi, Fred.
Hi, Fred. Really want to understand you. You've been with me a long time. I basically have an understanding where you started, yet I don't understand why you're hanging around, what my gain is from there. And I really just want to understand so I can fully accept you.
Good. I like how you're talking to Fred. Most of the time when we first meet, whatever it is we have been resisting, we have a strong desire to get rid of it. And unfortunately, that just makes whatever you want to get rid of more stubborn, bigger, and it stays longer. So do you want Fred to go away, or are you wanting to just connect more with Fred? And tell Fred that.
I want to connect and truly understand Fred.
Okay,
I know he's a part of who and what I am, and I just want to accept him more instead of resisting him.
Okay, good. How long has Fred been with you in your life?
All my life.
So I'd like you to say to Fred, hello, my longtime companion.
Hello, Fred, my longtime companion.
Good. Breathe deeply. Keep that breath going.
It's interesting because as I'm breathing, I'm really getting this feeling from Fred of relief.
Okay. Well, when we first do accept more of whatever we've been resisting, that is a sign of acceptance where there's relief, because there's so much energy involved in resisting that if we have 1,000 units of energy, we might be resisting that takes 800, 900 units of our total energy available to us. So there is a sense of relief when we resist less, because that energy, again, that went into resistance is no longer being, it's there.
Can I ask you a question and Fred a question at the same time? Is there a connection with Fred and my inner child? Is there a possibility that there's some kind of, I almost want to say agreement or mutual mirroring, or are they the related strongly to each other? Because I'm getting the feeling of my inner child is somehow in this mix.
Yeah. So I have a couple things to say to that. First, yes, there's going to be a mix. But the second thing that's more important is I'm going to instruct you to not try to understand Fred so much, because that actually can get us away from connecting. But what I will say is you will understand so much of the connection after you connect more. That makes sense? You'll get your answers in due time, but if you try to understand too much as you're working to connect, you form some resistance.
Okay. The reason why I asked that question is I'm feeling the inner child coming up, and that's why I asked the question.
Yes. Yeah, good. And often the inner child is our magnificent essence that when we resist things, we resist our essence. So Fred has been with you for almost all your life, and it's your longtime companion. However, because you've been resisting Fred in some ways, there are things you have done to resist Fred, to resist feeling Fred and experiencing Fred. Do you know what some of those things are?
Yes.
Good. So I'd like you to talk to Fred, and I'd like you to say to Fred, I resist you by, and say each thing, but after each one, then say, Fred, I resist you by, overeating. Fred, I resist you by shutting up when I know I should say something. So I'd like you to say a few of those to Fred now.
Okay. Fred, I resist you by not writing everything I want to write and publishing it. I resist you by not saying all the things to the people that come into my life. I resist you by not doing what I know is right.
Good. Breathe. Keep breathing.
I resist you, Fred, through some of my actions. I resist you by being passive-aggressive. I resist you by not following through on my word. I resist you by being aloof.
Okay, take a deep breath and you probably have others. Just take a deep breath right now and just feel the impact of what your life has been like by resisting Fred. That's an amazing amount of things that most people would experience as, negative, less than desirable, because you're resisting one thing, Fred. And I want to point out as you're breathing to our listeners that so many of what the negative things that are going on in people's lives come from just a few things they're resisting in their life, in their actual body, psyche, and soul. So many challenges people have are simply because of resisting just a few things. Sometimes it's just one thing. And this is big. Your life has been way less than it can be because you've been resisting Fred. Do you get that, Jennifer?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, it's huge. And one could even go as far to say, and I will go this far to say, your life has been run because you've been resisting Fred. It's been run by something you're not in control of because you're resisting Fred.
And sabotaging myself in many, many different respects.
Yes, indeed. Very much so. So where is Fred now on the pain-pleasure scale, plus or minus what? So feel your body, outline the whole area, feel the body.
He actually is fluctuating from being -2 to +2.
Okay,
it
great.
Literally is like a wave right now.
Good. So you have plus and minus twos. Great. So breathe into all of that. Color.
Lilac.
Good. Temperature.
65.
Weight.
It's still a little on the heavy side.
Okay. What would it say to the world if it had words right now?
It actually is saying you really don't want me.
Good. So I want you to say that out loud as it would say it 3 times. And use your voice in saying this, Jennifer. You
really don't want me.
Say it out loud.
You don't want me. You don't want me. You don't want me.
Good. Breathe. And this, Jennifer, is what you have been projecting out into the world. Whatever we resist, that energy has a certain message to it. And you just spoke the message, possibly unbeknownst to you, that you speak through your body language. And many of your actions show up as you don't want me. So just take that in. Just take that as an understanding of what the consequence of resisting Fred has been. You've had an energy about you that you don't want me. Okay? Breathe. Now talk to Fred gently and tell Fred whatever is there for you, whether it's just a little bit of an understanding or some feeling sensation.
I really get it, Fred, and you're right. I know that you have really tried to been there for me, and I haven't been there for you, because the energy you're putting out is the energy I've been giving you, that I don't want you. But yet, I know I need you.
Good.
And I'm
Just
sorry.
breathe. Good. Say that again. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Fred.
Yeah. And I always like to ask, say I'm sorry in a particular way, and that is, I'm sorry for pushing you away. Because that's what we really have been doing when we're resisting something. We've been pushing something away that's really, part of ourselves. So tell Fred, I'm so sorry for pushing you away.
Fred, I am so sorry for pushing you away.
Good. And keep your breathing going. It's really good. And where are you at on the pain-pleasure scale right now?
+3.
Okay, good. And I'm going to say good to everything, because anything that has awareness and connection to it, I just say good to. Even if you had -8, I'd say good, because I'm doing my best to be a channel, an archetypal model of acceptance. I'm doing my best to help you just be accepting of Fred.
And
I want to
thank
point
you.
out, yeah, well, it's my pleasure, because when I do this, I come into greater acceptance of myself too. So it's a win-win.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to point out something huge that just happened. I already mentioned it in a bit, and that is, when we're resisting, whatever that message is that we are resisting, we actually embody and give it out to the world. So you have been resisting this thing of Fred that has been giving this message is, I don't want you, and that is the energy you've actually been projecting onto the world. So to go back to the example of my friend who's a bad lover, he was projecting that to all the potential women, mates, dates that he was meeting, that I'm a bad lover. He was doing so much to cover up the fact that he was a bad lover, and so much to prove to everyone he was a good lover, which is the opposite of what was really going on, that he was really projecting he was a bad lover. And it was causing havoc in dating. Women weren't sexually attracted to him because he was projecting, I'm a bad lover. So I just want people out there listening to understand that if something keeps showing up in your life over and over again, the one factor that's consistent is you. You have been showing up in all those instances. So if you've been betrayed by 10 people, the truth is you are betraying yourself in some way, and you are resisting something that you're doing within yourself that's a great betrayal. So then you project that betrayal out into the world, and you attract betrayal. Now, that doesn't hold up 100%, and in some very strong, like cases of abuse, it gets very tricky. So I don't want someone to say, oh, I've been raped 5 times, so I'm projecting rape. No, you might be projecting victimization, and that doesn't give anyone else a right to abuse you. But there is an energy that when we resist and keep resisting, we project that out into the world. So let's go back to Fred. Where is Fred at on the pain-pleasure scale?
+3.
Good. What color?
Still lilac.
Great. Temperature?
75.
And a smell that goes with it.
Jasmine.
Nice. A taste.
I'm getting like a rich chocolate sweet.
Nice.
Chocolate.
Rich chocolate sweet. Great. Good. And I'd like you to breathe into Fred again and imagine the space around Fred as much bigger. Like Fred just has so much space to exist, to be, to live. More space than ever before. He could exist in your whole body and even outside of your body. Good. Now I'd like you to talk to Fred and tell Fred the ways you have pushed him or it away. Fred does seem masculine. The ways you've pushed Fred away. Fred, I have pushed you away by...
I have pushed you away by ignoring you. I've pushed you away by putting you down. I've pushed you away by being hypercritical. I've pushed you away.
Give an example. Give an example of hypercritical. Yeah, like, Fred, I put you away by telling you that you were stupid or something like that.
Okay. I pushed you away by saying you're not good enough. I've pushed you away by not allowing you to put out the energy that you really wanted to, meaning I would shut you down so nobody knew what was really going on.
Good.
I pushed you away by shunning you. I've pushed you away by being passive-aggressive. I have pushed you...
Be specific with passive-aggressive. Just one example, and keep breathing, because the specifics are important to know.
Okay. I've pushed you away by being sarcastic with things that I'm experiencing. I have been sarcastic by judging people in a way that really didn't reflect what they were really doing.
Good. Breathe. Keep breathing.
I have been pushing you away by being really judgmental of what people have said. I've been judgmental of reading between the lines of things that really weren't being said. I've pushed you away by making more of things than they were. I've pushed you away by blaming you for not making money. I've blamed you for being not following through with things that I've said I would do for myself.
Good. That's a good amount. So just breathe. That's good. That's good. Just keep breathing and tell me what's coming up for you, sensations or emotions, after having just said all that to Fred.
I'm feeling very calm.
Okay, nice.
I'm feeling like the lump in my throat is breaking.
Okay.
It's like expanding, like it's loosening up. The tightness in my chest is definitely relaxing.
Yeah.
I'm even.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm just sitting up taller.
Good. These are all signs that you are speaking your truth in the moment. When we speak truth in the moment, the body responds physiologically, and the body doesn't lie. you cannot make these things happen on their own so quickly, so easily, and in such great number. You might be able to do one of these things consciously with great effort, but all of this is happening as a natural response to you speaking your truth, which brings up an amazing point that we all have an inner compass. We, when we speak truth, have things that happen in our body, and if we just pay attention to what's happening in our body, we will know if what we are speaking is truth or not. This can be applied in ways that boggle the mind. I have had people who want to make decisions and don't know which path to take, and when I have them listen to their body, they can find whether they're speaking truth or not. This goes far beyond any kind of muscle testing. Muscle testing is problematic in so many ways. That's a whole conversation in and of itself. But what we can't fool ourselves with is these physiological responses to speaking truth. And then if we speak lies, we become constricted, shut down, pain. So again, anywhere there's pain, you're not accepting something in your life, you're resisting. So this is wonderful. You are speaking more of your truth and connecting with Fred in a way that, you might not have ever connected with him.
Excellent. Thank you.
So,
I do feel a lot better.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is within 2 to 3 weeks, you'll notice things and changes, actual transformation. It takes a while for us to go to transformation. And I had a friend, a client, not a friend, a client, felt like a friend, got another, therapeutic relationship. The client who came back to me and, he said, well, nothing's really changed. And after I questioned him further, it turns out that in the 2 weeks since we met, he hadn't had pot once, and he had smoked pot every day. And he just wasn't aware of the great transformation he went through, because it just takes a while for the conscious mind to catch up with what happened in our senses and soul. So you've already had some shifts, and you're just not going to be aware of it, possibly because you see how it shows up in your life.
It's amazing when those transformation, and I do want to mention something about Talia and experience with her, because to demonstrate how it does shift. I had a session with her, and she said, okay, I'm putting you in a different direction in a life you haven't explored yet. The very next day, and I drink coffee every day. The next day, I stopped drinking coffee, and I stopped for many times. I'm back to it. But I just want to affirm, when you have a shift, it really does. Sure, I would not be surprised.
Yes, good. So there's a little bit more exploration and connecting we can do with Fred. So just connect with Fred more consciously here by breathing into the whole area that Fred is in. And I'd like you to outline and tell me where you're outlining where Fred exists right now within your body.
Actually, my whole torso.
Great, your whole torso. Good. Good.
And
so
including my
that
throat.
Whole area. Good. And imagine the breath going into that area. If you don't feel it, you can imagine the breath. And see the pain-pleasure scale.
I'm actually getting a +8.
A +8. That's a lot of pleasure. And that's pretty remarkable. I mean, I shared last time that we talked how I had a cancer patient, and for 19 years he'd been in excruciating pain. When I did this process with him, I helped him connect to the very cancer that he was resisting. For the first time, he didn't have pain, and he actually had some pleasure. And we're talking, he'd been on morphine and all kinds of things, and he actually experienced more absence of pain and real pleasure than even with morphine. So this is the promise. This is what I hold out to anybody who wants to stop resisting whatever's, there in their lives, in their very psyche and soul and bodies, that they can actually experience pleasure where they've never had pleasure before.
And
good. So, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we mention at this point at least to make sure people know how to get in touch with you if they do want to schedule a session with you.
Yes, theparadoxcure.com. My phone number's on there, and I can do this over the phone or Skype. That even works a little better. But yes, people certainly can just give me a call or send me an email. And if they have some questions, I can give them some information and some next steps for them, whether they do any work with me or not. Because I'm here to serve people. I'm here to serve them to go into a greater state of acceptance, not resist. So this is really only for those who really they know they've had it around resisting. They know they've had things in their life stopping them, and they don't even know what. So within one session, I can help them. Within 20 minutes, I can help them identify where and what is stopping them and actually get connection with it, just like I've done with you.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Let's continue with Fred, because
okay.
You're establishing a relationship with Fred that, you've been in a state of resisting Fred for a long time, for years and years, most of your life, and there's all kinds of ways you've been resisting Fred. So Fred might not trust you a whole lot at first, and I want to point that out. Fred might need a little bit of time to trust that you're going to accept. He'll let you know when you're not accepting him by creating pain in your body, creating pain in your life. So if you find yourself having some pain in your body or pain in your life, just know you're resisting something. It might be Fred, it might be something else. Fred's obviously the big one in your life. So I'd like you to talk to Fred and tell Fred some ways that you believe you can connect with Fred. And Fred will let you know by sensations in your body if that will work, or you're actually going to be resisting me if you do that. For example, you might say, Fred, I think by journaling I could connect more with you, or by talking with you every day, or by, going for a walk every day. So tell Fred a few things that you think would connect you and him.
Fred, I really know that I connect really best with you when I write every day. Being in my journal, a blog, a poem, I know that that's my truth. That's truly you on the page with me. That's when we are the most connected, and it's always a blessing. I also feel like I need to read what we write, not just write it. And I do apologize for not always fully engaging in reading it, because I know you're speaking to me. And I want you to really let me know when we aren't connecting by just giving me that urge to write more strongly. And I know you have. Give me an ache in the hand, or, an ache in the heart, or a thump in the third eye even. Just give me that urge to write if you really have something you want me to know. So we do sit down and write. I want to be more open to you. I also know that I'm more open to you when I'm walking and exercising and dancing. So I need to be more fully engaged with you, because we're partners in the rest of this life, and I want to work with you, not against you.
Good. So breathe all that in, and I'm sure there's more. Just breathe all that in, and I'd like you to just feel your body as you're connecting more with Fred. And if Fred had words to say to the world, what would Fred say now?
Thank you.
So say those words as Fred would say them to the world 3 times.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And breathe. Good. So you can return to Fred whenever you want. You'll be aware of Fred whenever there's pain possibly in your throat, and that's where Fred has shown up in the past. So whenever you feel some irritation, pain, your throat is closing up, contraction in your body, consciously connect with Fred and say, I'm resisting you some way, Fred. For example, someone might say something and you want to speak your truth back, and all of a sudden your throat's closing up. So, hey, you're resisting Fred. And if you connect with Fred, you'll have a direction of choice. You'll be able to take action in a way that feels good to you, literally is pleasurable to your body because you're not in a state of resistance. That all makes sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Good. So that's a good amount of what I would call connecting, in a very kind of conscious, processy way. You didn't have any fog come up, which is, it just is. But again, that could have come up. You might notice fog in your life, like right now, as you've connected more with Fred. If you find yourself a little kind of dazed or you're not able to think as clearly as you're used to, take a look at maybe Fred is around and you're resisting. Okay?
Okay. There's
Do you have
one
any
other
questions? Go ahead.
No, there's one other thing that I do want to bring up, and that is that you're looking for donations for radical healing and for a beautiful friend of ours, your wife.
Well,
and
yes.
And
yes.
I do want to bring up that because it's important to understand you both are extremely powerful healers and leaders, and you guys have quite the story, and I did want to speak of that so people understand and let them know where they can help you out through donation.
Yes. Well, they can go to my website, theparadoxcure.com, and there is all over the place, there's a donate button. We have been spending thousands of dollars that we didn't have. So not only do we max out cards, we've been getting donations, and that's been for all this alternative healing and all kinds of other healing that we've needed to do so Talia could overcome stage 4C cancer. So 13 months ago, she was given a few months to live, and she is kicking, alive and healthy, and we are on our path. And that has been because we have had donations. We couldn't have done it without it. I couldn't have worked, and only now do I even have enough energy, having gone through my own healing crisis of many years in the making, where we're both at a point where, we're able to do some things, but we're not out of the woods yet. We still have quite a few other activities we have to do, and I detail it on my website if people are interested. And if people have, cancer that they're dying of or they just don't want anymore, well, take a look at what we've been doing. We've gone outside of the medical box. We've gone outside of the naturopathic alternative healing box. We've gone outside of the energy woo-woo box. We've done actually aspects of all of them in a way that work. And we have been exhausted. I have gone to heroic lengths to, assist Talia that at times could only lie down in a bed all day. So yeah, we still need some funds. And as we're coming out of this crisis and having healed ourselves to a great extent, we're going to be able to do more and more. So if people don't want to donate, they could have me help them in their own lives by hiring me to do the very thing I just did with you. Or they could donate, some gift cards, for like gasoline. We need gas, so, little things like that.
And
that's all on our website, and I would encourage people to, look into their hearts. If they want to help themselves, I'd be happy to help facilitate, them coming to greater acceptance with themselves.
And I do feel a great shift is, it's like instead of being right on the edge, I'm a little bit off the edge now. So it's helped tremendously.
Good.
And the other thing that I do want to mention about your website is the writing, the blogs you have on there are amazing information that really kind of click into your mind of, at least for me, I would read some of your thing and it put a smile on my face and a new way of thinking. So it opens you up, even the writing.
Thank you.
So
what I did in my writing on my blog is I've used the paradox cure methodology, which is acceptance. That's the whole cure in the paradox, is accepting that which we're running from. That's why it's a paradox. We have to run towards, what we want to avoid the most. So for all of the challenges I've had in my life, which have been great, everything from, having 2 hips I needed replaced to heavy metal poisoning to major depression, I have been using the very process I used with you by blogging the very things that I resisted the most.
Yeah,
so if people want to, if people want to read how I've applied this to myself, they can read it.
It really is amazing. And the other thing that a lot of people, and I say this all the time, and sure enough, it always happens, whatever you resist the most is going to be right smack in your face the most, in some shape or form. So it's I sit back and say, okay, the issue's right in my face. How am I going to deal with it? And so, it's just almost common sense. If something's right in your face, look at it. Don't run. Dave.
Unfortunately, go ahead, Jennifer.
No, I was just going to say, it's just sometimes we really do make things so much more complicated than we really need to.
Yes. The challenge, though, is in our culture, the media, advertisements, our teachers, our parents, we all have been taught in ways to resist. So if you've got, underarm odor, use deodorant to get rid of it. And unfortunately, that poisons us. Almost all deodorants out there poison us and keep us from detoxing, which is why we smell. And why do we smell? Because we're eating things we shouldn't be eating that pollute our bodies. What I'm trying to say is our whole culture, modern Western civilization, has an underlying set of beliefs that I call rules that have us resist. So a lot of the message I'm also putting out there is if you want to have an extraordinary life that you actually love, you've got to break the rules of life, which are, again, beliefs. We've been taught all kinds of beliefs, all kinds of rules that we must follow. For example, one rule is you've got to, if you want a job, you have to fill out an application. Well, who the heck said that? I got a job never filling out the application because I broke the rules. I interviewed them to see if I wanted to work for them. And then after they hired me, they came to me and said, we're a little embarrassed. You haven't filled out an application. We don't know how that happened. And I said, I know how. I could tell you. That's why you hired me, because I'm out of the box and I'm going to make you a lot of money. And, they laughed and they said, wow, we don't know how that happened, because you can't get a job or even have an interview until you have an application. My point is I broke the rules, and I've been breaking the rules all over the place. So it's the same with acceptance resistance. I did all these personal growth paths, and all of the growth paths that I went into had this underlying rule that you must program. You must learn something to change yourself. You must change yourself. Well, that's a rule, isn't it? And I broke that rule. Instead of changing myself, what I did is I learned myself. Some paths out there do preach that, but they don't walk that talk. Oh my gosh, they have inherent, resistances and rules built in. So if people really want to change, heal, grow, and transform, they have to break the rules of personal growth that they've been taught. And that's the path that I'm wanting to shout from the rooftop. So here on your program, I'm shouting it, break the rules that you've learned and stop running from whatever it is you fear, whatever hurts you, run towards it. I'll help you do that. And that's the only help I give these days. I don't want to help people. I just want to share perspectives so people can run towards what they've been running away from, run towards their fear and pain and hurt.
So it's not a pain, hurt, or problem anymore. Because really, once you accept it, it just really fades away.
Oh, yeah, it dissipates very quickly. What hurts us is the resistance.
Yeah.
Now, there is pain, but we can accommodate pain and shift pain into pleasure, or at least be able to be with it in a way that we don't get stuck. So I'm not saying, like, my beloved, she had cancer in a very big way, and there was pain all the time. And very quickly she went off all painkillers because she learned how to accept the pain or stop resisting it so much. Now, it's not that it didn't hurt, it's that when she stopped resisting, it hurt so much less that she was able to manage it. Whereas most people, they have to be on major drugs and end up, having complications from those drugs that actually make the cancer worse.
Right.
So whatever the pain is, most people have emotional pain, but that is very much a physical pain in their body. And that, again, anything that someone has pain with, anything, I put that out as a challenge. If someone has been in pain in anything in their life, let me have a chance at giving them a perspective and facilitating in a way that has them stop resisting so that pain goes.
I took up the challenge, and I'm glad I did. So I thank you.
Yeah. My pleasure.
It's been wonderful having you on your show. We need to take a break right now, but if you want to stay on and talk, we can talk some more. Or if you need to go about your day, that's fine. I'm going to leave it up to you, but we need to take a break.
Yeah, let's take a break. And perhaps another time it'll be good to return. I will continue on my day with some other things. Thank you, Jennifer, for allowing me and being courageous to do this in a public way.
I'm here to be the example, right? And that's one way I serve, is to show people it's you got to be the example so people can get through and get the clue it's okay. And I appreciate your service, and please give Talia a hug for me. I'm sure that's going to be really tough for you to do. Anyway, again, Dave's website is The Paradox Cure. Thank you very much. We will be back in a few minutes. This is Wolf Spirit Radio. We are by donation, so if you want to donate, we are greatly appreciative of it. This is Jennifer Hellman with Abstract Delusions Radio. We'll be back in a few minutes. Enjoy the music in the break.
This is Wolf Spirit Radio.